Let me see if we on.
Is that too bright in the window?
It's kind of bright, but I think it'll work. I think that's all good. Yeah, yeah, nah, we good money. Okay,
Nine.
all right, we here with Keith, one-time Thurman, former WBC welterweight champ of the world. How you doing, champ?
Doing good, man. Just out here cooling it today. I ran some errands this morning. Just just waiting for these fights to hit the scene. We got a lot of dates out there for a lot of people, and just taking it 1 month at a time during this COVID scenario.
Right, right. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that when they announced some of these fights that you wasn't on one of them. I know you've been putting the word out there that you're ready to get in, but it didn't work out. So could you tell us what's the prospect of you getting a fight like during the COVID situation? Is it still on the table or what's in the works?
We'll see, man. With everything that they laid out, I'm looking at December, January, and
Okay.
I talked to my team, and they're kind of leaning towards the January bit because no one's locked in a January date yet for one, that I know of, and then for two, uh, it makes it very easy to fight twice in 1 year, and to work your calendar year out that way. When I had my comeback against Jose Cito Lopez and then the Pac fight that summer, it was very simple to do, and I'd like to do something like that again. And then, after the Pac fight, I was in the hand surgery, but now as long as we can stay healthy throughout the year, who knows what we'll do, if we'll spread out the gap or if maybe we'll try to squeeze in three in 1 year. I don't know. It all depends on what kind of opponent they first want to throw at me at the start of this, at the end of this year, at the start of next year.
Right. Okay. So how is your hand after the surgery? Is it 100% or where is it at?
100. I don't know if it's really going to be there, but it's strong. You know, I mean, you got to look. Those some good cuts right there. You know what I
Oh
mean?
man, yeah.
They're not they're not that bad. At the end of the day, the doctor did a really good job. It recovered well. It feels strong. It's a bone fusion. So like when you break your arm and bones fuse together, bones are one of the few things that when they heal, they're supposed to heal stronger. So all that I'm worried about now is just keeping all the other ligaments and everything around it, because when you put yourself in a cast or anything of that nature, your muscles are going to atrophy. They're going to become weakened. So we're
Right.
just sure that we keep it pretty strong. Get some nice little dumbbell wrist work in. Um, I was in the gym yesterday checking out some of our amateurs. I was touching the bag up. It feels strong, man. I just want to spar, man. I might even force these amateurs to spar me next week. I'm gonna talk to coach about it Saturday. I kind of just want to get in the ring and just go from there.
Right. I could understand that. So you say you're looking at possibly the end of the year for your next fight. Like who are some of the main people that you're trying to get in the ring with?
Just whatever they throw at me, man. I've heard rumors of Kell Brook wanting to fight me, this and that. Uh,
Okay.
I'm I just take everything one step at a time. Right now it's COVID, and it's just what they're gonna give me. What they're gonna present to me. Sometimes I get what I want, and sometimes you get something for now and you get what you want later. That's life, not just sports and in general. It is what it is. So that's all I'm trying to do, man. Whatever they present to me, I'm most likely signing it and just trying to move forward. I was ready. Uh, I've been ready to get ready, and it's just been this little up and down with hearing about dates and all those things. There was a lot of fighters that when COVID hit, it messed up their whole year. At the start of the year, I was still injured. So I knew I wasn't going to do nothing until later. And just the way COVID is, Maybe if I really was eager, I could take a date away from some of those people. If I pushed it like a month ago, if I would have pushed harder to put me in the ring, maybe I could have took a date away. But I'm gonna be okay if it's December or January. And I know there's a lot of people that have been really waiting to get back in the ring. They have no injuries. They're just simply waiting, man. So I got a full spectrum when it comes to understanding this game. That's why I don't really get upset. I don't get frustrated or feel like I'm being left out of anything.
Right.
Let's just see what happens, man. These boys got to put on shows. We got a few good matchups, some good fights to look forward to. It's more exciting than I thought it was going to be. There was people who thought there was going to be nothing but C-class, B-class fights for all of 2019. But we got some A-class fights out there on the calendar already. So let's just see what kind of spectators we get. Let's see what kind of revenue they bring in, and hopefully we can keep the ball rolling into 2021 and be done with this COVID shenanigans, man.
Right, yeah, I know it's thrown a wrinkle in a lot of people's plans, so it's good to see how boxing's kind of pivoting and still putting on and getting back active with the events. So I want to talk to you real quick about your Pacquiao fight, man. I thought it was an amazing fight, and I think it was closer than a lot of people are giving you credit for, because let's look at it from this perspective. He knocked you down in the first round, but it was kind of obvious that you were winning the first round. You landed more punches, you were more active, and when you go to the scorecards, you won on one of the scorecards and you lost on two of the scorecards. It was 115 to 112. But if you take away his 10-8 lead or a score for the knockdown in the first round, and you give you the first round, you would have had one judge in your favor. The other two would have been a draw. You know what I'm saying? So it's really... And on top of that, you actually landed more punches than he did in that fight. So when you look back on it, do you think you could have done better, or how do you feel when you look back on it?
Oh, yeah, it's the closest fight of my career. Last time I had a fight that close, it was in the amateurs. And it's a funny story. I lost the fight. And when you lose competition, some competitions allow you to go to the next competition, right?
Right.
So they said that boy beat me. It was such a close fight. I felt like I got him. It's like, dang, everybody wants to beat Thurman. So he said he got a W over me, especially on my state level. I was a 7-time national champion. It wasn't easy for people to take me out before I reached the nationals. So this dude, he took me out, and I'm sitting there not doing much. They call me a week later saying, well, Keith, we actually want you to represent us. And I'm like, y'all didn't give me the W. I ain't been training. I ain't gonna represent nothing, And this fight just reminds me of the frustration I had way back then, man. When you're going toe to toe, blow for blow, and both people are putting in good amounts of effort, the knockdown changed everything. From the way I remember it, the two judges that favored him, one of them favored him by a 1-point margin, which means without the knockdown, I win. And then outside of that, a 1-point margin on one judge's scorecard, if I could just get that point back in my favor, it's a 1 point away from being a draw. No matter how you look at it, it was very, very close. And, when it's that close, there's always more you could have done. I believe I gave up, similar to the way we might have seen, like, when De La Hoya fought Tito Trinidad, even though a lot of people agree that Tito didn't win that fight. But if you pay attention to the details, they also say Oscar let up in the championship rounds. And in the championship rounds, I told myself that was the time to go. That was the time to get it done. The only problem was, like, I remember the last close fight was against Shawn Porter, and in the 8th round, on all three judges' scorecards, they got there differently, but going into the 9th round, we were at a flat draw. Every judge, it was a unanimous draw, which is very rare in the sport of boxing. Right. So we're at a unanimous draw with 4 rounds to go. Luckily, with my fight IQ, nobody had to tell me it was unanimous draw. I sat down, got my water from my coach, and I told myself, you can't take more than 4 rounds in this 8-rounder right now, you know? Right. So I said, you know, Shawn Porter can't beat you. You know, you might draw, but he can't beat you. And then I said, yo, we in Brooklyn right now, and ain't nobody show up to go watch a draw. Let's go get this W.
Right.
And there was a certain mindset that I forced upon myself in those final 4 rounds. There was a moment very similar to this in the Pacquiao fight for me. And the only problem is I didn't give myself the same speech. I said to myself, dang, man, I think it's a draw, man. I think it's a draw. I think you good. Just keep pushing. I mean, I don't know if they're going to take it from you, but I feel like the moment I accepted the draw was the moment I lost. Pushing for the W is the only way that you can guarantee the W. Don't slack off. You know what I mean? Don't slack off. Unless if you know you got a 8-2 lead going into them championship rounds, don't ever slack off, man. It is what it is, man. My original trainer said smart fighters win, dumb fighters lose. The reason why I was able to be humble at the end of the fight was just because Pacquiao fought a smart fight. You know, I might have landed more punches than him, but he landed the right punches at the right time to convince the judges that he's winning these rounds. He protected himself at all times. He kept his hands up he tried to keep his hands up very well. I had to go around, I had to go in between. And I tried to bait him after the knockdown. I wanted to create a brawl with him. And his old age and his wisdom, all the experience that he had, he took all that into the ring. He didn't bring no pride. He listened to his coach. They knew they had a little bit of a lead, and they just said, keep boxing smart, keep boxing smart. He never got overly aggressive. He didn't take the bait from the young warrior trying to trade toe-to-toe, because I know he was fading. You know, I know even the pressure that I put on him, I know he was fading. Yeah. You know, that body shot in the 10th helped him out a lot because of perspective on, you know, like I said, he lands the right shots at the right time on me. I can't take that away.
Did that body shot, it seemed like the body shot affected you more than the knockdown affected you.
Oh, definitely. You know, I mean, I smiled after the knockdown, you know. That was he sprung into action when I was retreating in a back line. I didn't take an angle. I wasn't circling. I stepped straight backward. He sprung forward, and it was a momentum thing. There wasn't much I could do about the knockdown, but the body shot, that was a pain thing. You know, that's a little dang. Yeah. Man, he snuck that one in there. You know, it was right in the middle of the ring too. It was a very awkward place to throw that body shot. You know, when I got hit with the body shot against Luis Collazo, I was up against the ropes. He was pressuring me. Right. You know, and yeah, so he just kind of snuck that one in, you know, and I just, you know, I don't take knees. I don't go down if I don't have to, because, you know, if the knockdown in the first round wasn't there, I have an option to take the knee. But with the knockdown there, 2 knockdowns, now we know you need the KO to win. So it's just a scenario, man. I try to do my best. I try to persevere, and I just pushed, man. I just pushed. I try to recover as quick as I can and get back on them. But I know it looked good in the highlights, and sometimes some of me and my peoples, we say it's the body shot that won the fight. Sometimes we say it's that 10th round that won the fight. That's the problem when you lose at such a, you know,
close
even with
margin.
the body shot, even with the body shot, even with the knockdown in the first round, one judge had me winning by 2 rounds.
Yeah.
You know, so when I say I'm salty, I mean I'm salty, man.
You high blood pressure salty, huh?
I'm salty, man, but you know, it's as salty as I am, I still loved it, man. I love the whole experience, you know. It was epic. It was everything I ever wanted it to be when it came to growing up, fighting the best fighters in the world, fighting on the biggest stage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about that stomach, or no, the knockdown again, because the knockdown, the way that Pacquiao knocked you down, it was kind of similar how Josecito Lopez kind of hit you a couple times in y'all fight, and it seemed like, I'm a fan of yours, so I was like, damn, it seemed like you could have corrected that or something.
Well, definitely no. They're nowhere similar at all. Nowhere similar at all. Nah, because first off, the only similarity is the fact that it's a right hand. Because Pacquiao, it was a little right hook, little right hook. But when I was getting hit by Josecito Lopez, he wasn't springing into action. He was using the length of his right
that's
hand.
true. He
was using the length, and I felt like I was, I've fought quite a few people, so we know what we call the safe distance. And with Josecito Lopez, I just felt like I was there, and he showed me I wasn't. He showed me how long his reach really was. And then with Pacquiao, I retrieved, trying to get into that safe distance, and he did his little bunny rabbit hop into action stuff, and he just, like I say, the right place at the right time, man. One thing about Keith One-Time Thurman is, when I first was on the scene, I try to tell everybody that one time is a double-edged sword. It can happen to me, it can happen to you. One time is boxing, you know what I'm saying? So Pacquiao just happened to be the one throwing the one times in the rounds at the right time, man. He really stayed calm, cool, collective, and he waits for his opportunity. You got to just not give him those kind of opportunities, because he's not the guy that's going to be sitting back, and then not do nothing. He's sitting back, about to do something. And that's the difference.
Okay, yeah, I could see it was more like Pacquiao used his footwork more, and Josecito Lopez, he used his reach more. I could see that. All right, somebody hit me up.
But if you want to tell me to keep my left hand up,
Yeah. No, you good. You got it. You already know. But look, check this out. So somebody asked, they asked about you versus Shawn Porter too. But before you address that, I want you to compare Errol Spence's fight versus Shawn Porter, and then compare it versus your fight versus Shawn Porter. Like, how were you able to win? It seemed like you won more comfortably than Errol Spence did. Errol Spence seemed like he came out of that fight a little more damaged than you did, in my opinion. So I just want you to compare them two fights real quick.
Luckily for me, I've been in the ring with Shawn Porter before the Shawn Porter fight, Okay. So I had that advantage, I was I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, So, in retrospect, Errol had a nice reference of what he's getting himself into. I don't know their history on gym work or whatever. But for myself, I knew clearly that I could rely on the gym work. That for the most part, Shawn never really changed his style. He's still that same fighter. The one thing he did against me, though, pre-fight, I was like, boy, we ain't gonna be able to count the number of left hooks you about to land on this boy. For the first 4 rounds, that boy was blocking so many left hooks, I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, all right. They took some keynotes and they said they're not getting hit by that one. Watch the Danny Garcia fight. After the first round, his right hand was like he was on the telephone with his mama. He wasn't letting it go. He was not letting it go. You know what I mean? So that's, to me, when I see world-class fighters, protecting themselves from my left hook, to me, it's just a sign of respect. It's a sign that they're treating me the way they need to treat me. They're not treating me like somebody else. Right. Because the moment you treat me like somebody else, that becomes easy work for me. You gotta step in the ring. You gotta acknowledge the task at hand, And one of my strengths throughout my career has always been that left hook, man. But back to the Shawn Porter performance, I was really proud of Shawn, man, because, You know, to me, he had no chance in the world of really taking on Errol if he doesn't bring the same intensity that he brought in the fight with me. Because when he fought Danny, you know, he won, but it wasn't the same intensity. He sat back a little bit more in some of the opening rounds. He was trying to do things from the outside that eventually he started moving forward and just really working on the inside. So I was really proud of that, of the effort that he put in. You know, you could tell that he trained hard. You could tell that he wanted to be champion of the world again. Errol just blocked a lot of those shots, kept his hands up. He was getting hit just like me too. You know, you block 4 of them, but it's that 5th one. It's like, you know, it pops you. But even though it pops you, did the judges really see it? You know, they saw you block all these punches. They see a flurry, you get hit real quick, and then your head snaps right back into position. And it's just hard to tell. You know, I think a lot of people did see EJ get hit quite a bit in that fight. Right. I know some people that had the fight even as a draw, but at the end of the day, Errol stayed real nice composed. He picked his shots. He went toe to toe, and then he dominated the second half of the fight. You know, the earlier rounds he wasn't dominating, but the second half his conditioning really showed, and Shawn was just starting to fade. He was able to drop Shawn, and you know, and just walk away with the W, man. Which is the most important thing. Not every single fight is going to be the best performance of your career. You know, did he underestimate what Shawn was going to be able to do in there? We don't know. It was a great fight. You know, Shawn, I see him as one of those guys who's in the top 10 that really separates the upper portion of the top 10 versus the lower portion of the top 10. If you want to be in the top 3 and 4, whatever, you got to get to Shawn Porter because he's solidly ranked 5. You know, he's like a solid 5 all day. You know, so you know, some people wonder, did Ugas kind of beat Porter? You know, so I tell people in unofficial rankings, you can always put Ugas or Porter at number 5, but you got to deal with Porter to ever get above 5. You know what I mean? You just really got to. You know, right. And if you're number 7, a lot of times Porter beats number 7, you know? So, yeah. You know, I've seen what he's done his whole amateur career, his professional career. And for not being the technical kind of guy, you know, I mean, I give him respect for doing all that he does and just being something that we might be able to handle, but you really need to have it in you to handle all that, man, because otherwise Shawn Porter's coming out on top.
Yeah, he's definitely a dog up in the ring. In that fight that he had versus Errol Spence, did he expose anything to you? Did you see Errol Spence as a little more vulnerable, or you saw exactly what you thought you were going to saw out of Spence?
No, I actually thought I was going to see a better performance out of Spence, to be honest. I thought he was going to be able to do something with that jab. His jab couldn't do nothing with Porter doing. He couldn't put the jab on the chest. He couldn't put the jab nowhere. The jab got neutralized. I think it's one of Errol's strong suits. But a lot of people do stand straight up right in front of Errol. And when you stand straight up right in front of him and you let him poke you with that stiff arm jab of his, it's just setting up the left hook up top, the left hook to the body, the left uppercut to the solar plex, all those, everything off of that straight stiff hand jab. He's got all 3 of those punches waiting as an option once when you just let him post up on you and walk you down in the corner and post up on you. So what I got to see out of that performance was once when you increase work rate to Errol Spence, it's just not an easy fight for him. You know, you give him a simple tempo, you give him a little boom, 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 boom. You give him like some little slow rider beat. Yeah. He killing that track all day. You know what I mean? He's killing that track all day. You give him something like with Twister in it, it might be a little different, you know? Right. It's tempo. What I learned was the tempo. You up the tempo on Errol Spence, and his defense isn't as great. His offense isn't as great. Everything diminishes when you take the tempo to another pace. So that's what I learned as a spectator from that performance, because Mikey Garcia sitting on the outside, boom, 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 boom. You're losing, boom, boom. He's winning, boom, boom. You know, and Porter, he didn't do that tempo, man. And he made it a lot closer, you know, even if he didn't convince the judges, which if you look at the scorecard, he really didn't convince the judges, but he had the spectators in it like, you know, hey, man, you're doing something. You really are doing something. So that's what I got, man. And I haven't seen too much. I haven't learned a lot of Errol. Before that, there was like very few little, like almost like only one thing. So now I got like two things that I've seen from the boy. Outside of that, you know, he's a very solid fighter.
Right. A lot of people, especially myself, look forward to you and him finally lacing it up. And I'm gonna come back to him real quick, but somebody posted a question and they said, what was the rowdiest crowd that you ever fought in front of? And what is your favorite, what is your least favorite part of training for a fight? Those two questions.
So what was the first one?
The rowdiest city.
Oh, that's Pacquiao, baby. That was Pacquiao, MGM Grand, Filipino. That Filipino crowd, that thunder. He misses, they cheer. He blocks, they cheer. Mm-hmm. You know, he gets punched, they cheer. They just cheer, man. I mean, it was the most live. You want to talk about live? You know, everything that people talk about you can't get right now, Corona. Yeah. We got that in the Pac fight because we got that live. You know, all the Saturday Night Live, baby. The energy was just. The energy was through the roof. That's to me, that was the whole honor, man, to just, you know, not just fighting a legend, but just having the fans, so many people backing him, so many people backing me. The arena, we just packed the house, and I mean, it was phenomenal. You know, outside of that one, I loved the Danny fight in Brooklyn. The cheers, they were very electric. And when I fought Luis Collazo in my hometown in Tampa, man, that was, you know, we got a really great hockey team that can get rowdy, Tampa Bay Lightning. But I felt like when I was in the arena at the Sundome there, it was nothing but thunderous cheers, man. So there's been a few performances in my career, man, and it's always love, it's always felt, and it's amazing. It's what we live for is that cheer, you know.
Right, exactly.
When it comes to the dislikes of my career in training camp,
yeah,
the number one most frustrating thing, you know, outside of how much I enjoy a nice interview, is the repetitiveness of the questioning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to do an interview with you if you don't got new questions for me, you know?
Yeah, it's like, how many times can you talk about Pacquiao? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Well, it just any fight, you know, it's give me a new perspective. Dig into me. Don't just ask what he just asked just because your fans want to know the same answer and you want to post it on your outlet, because that's all it is. Everyone's interested in a simple question. What do you think your challenges are going to be in this up and coming fight? You know, and to a degree, you know, it's a good question, but after I've given it 15 times, it's like, I'm about to punch the next dude that asked me that question.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I better be on guard right now then. Hey, don't do me like that. All right, look, check this out. So I still want to do this last part on Errol Spence, because I seen like some stuff on there where it seemed like he wasn't inclined to fight you right away. And I think they referenced the old interview where it seemed like you might not have been inclined to fight him right away. And in that interview, because I really didn't, I actually side on your side in this, because in the interview that was mentioned, you said they asked you like, what do you think about fighting Errol Spence? And you said something like, this is my get back year. You're not gonna see me fight Errol Spence in 2018. So when you were saying this is my get back year, what did that mean? I don't know what that means.
Because I'm not fighting anybody that's like, top 3 in the world. Why would I? Why would I fight the top fighters in the world on a get back? You know what I mean? I'm trying to get back. So you're not going to see that level. You know what I mean? It was like a forecast. If I just felt like that's all there was, and I want it and I need it, but I was champion. He was champion. So another thing too is champion versus champion is a unification. So there's certain caliber of fights, and I was pretty much letting everybody know I'm not even stepping into that caliber right now.
Mm-hmm. I could dig that. So how was that a different caliber than Pacquiao though? It seemed like Pacquiao was right there.
Pacquiao, that was desperation. Like I just said, I don't really want to do certain things, right?
Right.
But I knew before the Josecito Lopez fight that the doctor said, Keith, you need hand surgery. I said, Doc, I need to go make money. I ain't fought in 22 months. That's 22 months of no paycheck. So we fought Josecito Lopez, and then we get offered the Pacquiao fight. And I looked at my doctor. Well, I called him and I said, we're gonna have to wait till after this next one. And then I promise I'm gonna show up and we can get this hand surgery. But you gotta understand, man, when you're an athlete and you're injured and you don't know you don't know what post-surgery life is. You don't know if it's good. You don't know if that means your career is done. And even though technology is great nowadays, it's the insecurities of being a human being, knowing that this is my livelihood. And I'd rather fight one-handed versus the world than to know that you're going to do surgery and I can never fight again. So luckily the type of surgery, they're like, it's going to make you stronger, this and that. But, to a degree, that's talk. Before something's really done, it's just talk. So that's why you get these little insecurities. And I was like, look, man, if I wait to heal myself, where's Pacquiao going to be? I don't know. But I know Errol Spence is going to be there. But I don't know where Pacquiao is going to be. And what if Errol gets Pacquiao? What if Danny Garcia gets Pacquiao? And what if somebody actually takes care of Pacquiao before I have my opportunity? There was you got to weigh all the pros and the cons. And Keith Thurman versus a legend was worth everything. It was worth everything. It was worth fighting injured. It was worth everything. I would do it again. I would do it again. To fight Manny Pacquiao, I'll tie one hand behind my back and do it again. You know what I mean? It's the opportunity. I don't say no to certain opportunities. And so that's the thing, now I'm not champion. I need a champion to accept my challenge. I'm coming in as a challenger. Right. And I've been telling people this. If Errol really don't want to fight me, he don't ever have to fight me. This is real boxing. You know what I mean? I would have put money down that Kell Brook and Amir Khan, I thought they had to fight. It's the way I know boxing, and I grew up. Right. I'm like, we from the same region. We got our own fans and all this stuff. And we got some of the craziest fans in the world, because European fans are crazy about everything, and they never made that fight, so it is what it is, man. I know what happened the day I met that boy. And I said, I look forward to seeing you in the ring. I know what I said out of my own mouth. You know what I'm saying? And my word is bomb. You don't want to be in the ring with me? That's on you. I haven't felt the opportunity to where I feel a necessity or a yearning, knowing that you came up, you're still acquiring credentials, and only now with you beating everybody that you've beaten, he's actually about to be on par with me. His credentials are about to be pretty much on par. you know, I was just trying to play the game. And the real talk is I was supposed to beat Pacquiao and then fight Errol Spence and unify all 3 world titles. That was the dream. And if you ever seen an interview before, I talked about having 2 world titles, fighting Errol Spence with 2 world titles. I didn't have 2. I would have had 1, but Errol, right after my fight, he picked up the 2. He picked up 2. So we could have fought. If I beat Pacquiao, it would have been 2 undefeated welterweight champions in the world with 3 world titles on the line. I'm just trying to make history, baby. You know what I mean? And that I don't say no to that. You know. Right. Now, how enticing is it fighting the non-champion Thurman? Like I said, I'm the challenger. They're the champions. If I beat them, I take their belts. I don't got nothing to give. I got something to go get. Now I don't have nothing to give. You know. And I believe that's a stronger position if anybody understands what it's like, you know. I believe it's a stronger position. You want to take something from people. You know you got to put in that work. You know, you get a little used to being champ. You get a little used to these decisions going in your favor, these rounds going in your favor. You know what I mean? That's a lot of favoritism, you know what I mean? Instead of just work and effort. So, you know, I'm just ready to put in all that work and effort and just prove that real champions become champ again.
Right, and that's why I said I agreed with you, because it was like at that point in time, Errol Spence was still climbing the ladder. He hadn't reached your level. But to me, in my opinion, like now the tables are switched, but you're at a higher level than he was when he was trying to fight you. It's more balanced now.
Well, let's just think about this too. Like, there's a part of me, I didn't have to take the Pacquiao fight. There's just a part of me that couldn't sleep at night if I did. If I said, no, Al, man, my hand, you know, I'm not going to take this fight. Just give me one more check. Let me make some decent money. Let them talk their ish about Keith Thurman, but let me stay undefeated welterweight champion of the world and just let the industry deal with it. I could let y'all deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I could, you know, I could really, Floyd made everybody deal with it. Floyd made everybody deal with it. It's the decisions that we make as professional athletes. You know, like I keep telling people, I'm your entertainment. It's Keith Thurman versus the world. Act like you don't want to see it. You know what I'm saying? It's Thurman versus everybody. It's Thurman versus everybody. That's all it is. You know, that's the welterweight division to me. It's Thurman versus everybody.
Yeah.
There's some good fights out there, but Thurman makes some stuff happen.
Hey, no doubt. Yeah, we could all see that basically the Pacquiao fight was something that you couldn't refuse, really, because I mean, the window of you being able to fight him is probably so small, it probably would have never came back. And we could see that your window to fight Errol Spence could be like 3 years from now still, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I definitely get that. All right, so somebody hit me up and asked me, and I actually want to see this fight, so that's why I'm bringing it up. But they asked about you and Adrian Broner, because I think you fighting him, to be honest, I don't think that's like a super threat to you, but I think that'd be like a get back fight for you to kind of like get in the groove or whatever. In my opinion, I might be sleeping on it a little, but what do you think?
Yeah, you're not the only one. You know, there's been a few people that think it's a decent fight. You know, he hasn't fought too many really big welterweights. You know, he had the fight against Shawn Porter and everything like that. You know, he fought Mikey Garcia, but you know, he just really hasn't been in with too many big welterweights. It's something that's out there, man. I don't know. I like decent, entertaining fights. The only thing I don't really like about AB is, you know, he's gonna run his mouth more than he runs his hands. You know, his punch numbers, no matter how fast they are, no matter how pretty it looks when it lands, at the end of the day, we had a saying back in the day: an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. You know, an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. So, you know, when I fought Jose Cito Lopez, I knew he was going to be a gritty, and a lot of times, you know, when you give those kind of fighters that opportunity to be champion of the world again, they know They know this isn't a regular little offering. They know they're going to step up to the plate. He was training in the mountains. I wasn't training in the mountains. I was just trying to get back. All 2019, you know, I mean, just watch both performances. And like I told him before that fight, I said, you will see a world-class performance versus Jose Cito Lopez. You will not see the best Keith Thurman you ever seen. So go watch the fight. That's not the best Keith Thurman, you know? The seventh round makes it obvious. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, at the end of the day, I get to show how tough I am once again. I get to show that warrior, you know, in me and the spirit that I have to never give up and stay true and get that W, man. I used some boxing technique because I knew he was flat-footed. I knew I would be able to circle him and everything like that. And, you know, it just is what it is. I still think that I'm getting back, man. The best Keith Thurman was Porter, Garcia, you know, and some of the stuff before that when I had activity. So there's a part of me that now, you know, part of me just wants to be active, you know, at any caliber. I just want to be active because that's another thing that I believe really helped Pacquiao in facing me was the Matisse fight to the Broner fight to the Thurman fight. There was no long wait and then let me just fight Keith Thurman, you know, and him and his team, they would know that. They know that there's a big difference between those two scenarios. I've learned it because I lived it. I've been out of the ring many times. Even right now, it's been a year since the Pacquiao fight. So all I want to do, man, is just maintain my weight better, plot at my strength and conditioning better, and really outperform what I did in 2019. I want to get back to being the best Keith Thurman I can be.
I could dig that. All right, I got a question about Lipitz. What do you think about him? Like I watched a couple of his fights, and he doesn't seem that technically sound, but he seems like a powerful puncher. What do you think about him?
Yeah, you know, he's a little bit throwback on like the Maidana side. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
Yeah, he's a little throwback on that kind of side, you know. And he's tough, and he wants to hit you with that overhand right. You know, he knows that's his bread and butter. He knows that's where he does the most damage. And he likes to get it on the inside. I don't know him that much, but he seems like he probably had a decent maybe amateur background or something, you know. He seems like he's got a little nice understanding of little in and out movement. Because when he's setting up that right hand, he does it in like a little tricky way, and then he starts hitting people with it. But he's been outclassed before, and I believe he can be outclassed again.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I watched him, he like really tucks his chin and puts his forehead out there. Like it's almost hard to hit his chin. Yeah, like super over exaggerated. And what I noticed, like when I watch fighting, it seemed like the top elite boxers don't tuck their chin in as much. And the reason I think is maybe it like prevents your mobility or your power punching. Why is it that like a Floyd Mayweather doesn't really have his chin tucked in as much as like a Lipitz or like a Oscar De La Hoya used to, or even you don't touch it, or Errol Spence, or you know what I'm saying? Could you talk to me about that?
It's an inside technique. It's an inside technique, right?
Okay.
Because when you know, like we're out here, right?
Right.
So when I know that I want to get closer to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I get closer to you,
okay.
I want my forehead to be closer to you. I want the strongest part of my body to be closer to you. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna come into you chin up.
Right.
I'm not gonna take those steps because I'm just asking for one. You know what I mean? So right. As soon as I start to commit and I do that, you know, it's like, you know, not only is my body coming forward, but it's like the target here, you don't see that. All you see is this, and it makes you feel a lot different. You feel the pressure, you feel like, okay, I can't hit the chin, maybe I can get the temples, but then his hands are up. And that's the whole purpose of that inside technique, is that you're closing the gap, you're coming straight at them. So you want the strongest physical thing, because the moment you step to somebody, normally they don't just let you step to them. Normally they're going to have some type of offense.
Right.
So you just want to step into that offense or into that zone with the as strong as possible.
Okay.
Boom. And then the moment they hesitate, because once when they see this, they see you walking like this, they can't wait to hit you.
Yeah.
They see this, they might think like, dang, do I really want to hit him in his forehead? It's the hardest place, you know.
Yeah, do I want to bust my knuckles up, huh? Yeah.
You know, and that's all you got to do. You just got to get them to not commit for that second so that you can get closer, and then boom.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an insider thing. So go watch some old school outside fighters, watch some old school inside fighters, and you'll see the chin tuck more.
Okay, bet. I appreciate that. Schooling me one time. You know, I might have to pay you for a training lesson real quick. All right, look, check this out. I only got a couple more questions for you. Okay, I want to talk about Wilder and Fury real quick, because they said, so I heard people saying that he said that, oh, he wore that big old armor thing or whatever, and it was 40 pounds. He wore it all the way walking in the ring. So I'm like, yeah, that could kill his legs before the fight. And then a lot of people was saying that wasn't a good enough excuse. And I felt his trainers slipped up because they allowed him to do that. Like, somebody in his corner should have known that that's a no-no, wearing something that heavy going in the ring. What do you think about that aspect of that fight, him wearing that and his trainers allowing him to wear that, and how it could have affected him?
Yeah, it's very awkward, you know. That's another thing that doesn't get discussed a lot, you know, is the locker room regiment, right? You know, sometimes fighters do too much backstage. Sometimes fighters do too little backstage, you know. Not every fight is going to be the same, you know, not every routine is going to be the exact same. You know, and my boy Deontay, man, he a showman, you know, so just like me in the Pac fight, one of the biggest fights of your life, you know, there were some things that I would wanted to do a little bit on that stage, but I didn't do it because, you know, I just stayed more focused, more concentrated on the fight. And sometimes you want to Rick James it or something, you know, you want to the Prince Saddam Ali, or not Saddam Ali, Prince Nassim back in the day, man. Sometimes you want that entrance to be just as entertaining as the fight, you know what I mean? We showmen. But yeah, you know, he could have probably had a really nice outfit, really dope, all black with black Swarovski crystal diamonds all over it or whatever. He could have done something on a different fabric. You know, they could have done something on a different fabric, so that it's just more back into the traditional boxing robe of some sort. He could always throw on a little mask. You don't got to walk into the ring like a transformer, you know. And then once when that discussion really started getting talked about, ironically enough, my wife, she was really enjoying the fight, and we actually ate popcorn and watched it together. And the next day she's getting into all the news, all the updates, and I'm like, she's still watching this thing? And we're watching, and they're showing Deontay enter the ring. They show him jumping up and down. You know, he's jumping up and down, like, you know, and you know, we're from the outside. We don't know what it looks like, or we don't know what it feels like. We just see him walking into the ring, jumping around. If you can jump around, then we think it's light. We think it's light that you're wearing, you know. It definitely didn't seem like it was anything that helped. I'm pretty sure he'll never do it again in his career. It's not a great excuse to fall back on. But you know, when that's what it is, you know, you can say it is what it is. But sometimes what it is ain't gonna help you. You know what I mean? You did it to yourself. nobody accepts the excuse. It's it's just bad, man. It's but it's not fun, man. If you drain yourself right before a fight, I mean, what you gonna do? You don't got too many options anyways, man. Yeah, so that's why, you just gotta be smart. The whole process, everything about boxing, as physical as it is, there's so much mental decisions you gotta make if and be smart if you really want to keep winning.
Right, I could dig that. Do you, after watching Wilder and Fury 1 and 2, do you give him any chance in the third fight?
Well, the second fight is really not the go-to spectrum, right? It's really the first fight. Some people got your number, man. Some people got your number. Especially, whether it's on the court or if it's in the ring. Once when you do 1 versus 1, once when you go heads up, some people got your number. Maybe 1 out of 3, maybe you got that. Maybe you can get them occasionally, but it does seem like Fury kind of has his number as far as fight styles and the technique, and he can just mess up the rhythm. He can mess up the rhythm. He can use his distance. He can feint, and it's just all those things in combination. And you're constantly looking for one shot. All you're doing is looking for that one shot. Sometimes on the elite level, we just know how to avoid, especially when that's all they got for you. We know how to avoid that one shot. I felt like I was in a one-shot scenario with Danny Garcia. He wasn't going to beat me on points. He wasn't going to throw enough combinations to beat Keith Thurman. But he can throw one shot, and he threw a lot of them. They didn't land.
Right. Okay. Do you think, this is my last one about Wilder, do you think that his trainer has adequately trained him to be a elite heavyweight, or do you think they relied and since he was knocking everybody out, they focused on that and didn't really give him the necessary tools? Because I seen Teddy Atlas, and he flat out said that Wilder can't box.
Yeah, throughout the years, it would have been nice throughout the years, as he was dominating with all that power. It would be nice to have seen a little bit more technical aspects be introduced into his style. But look, man, when you're used to being the biggest man in that ring, that in itself is already such an advantage, Mm-hmm. And that was the thing with Fury, is he's the one man in the whole universe that's bigger than Deontay, and he comes with boxing technique. He's not it's not just a giant versus a giant. He has the fundamentals down. He's got the footwork down. He's got the triple jab like Muhammad Ali down. He understands the game more in its totality. But at the end of the day, he still has to utilize all those techniques to avoid that one big shot, because when Deontay lands, it's devastating, man. So if he wants to keep Fury wants to keep giving this boy chances, it's like saying, oh, I struck out Barry Bonds twice, so I'll do it again. Like, you might, but you might not. And that's all it is. But, as far as technique, round by round, like I said, Danny wasn't going to beat me. He doesn't throw enough combinations. That's the same thing with that fight. He really needs to knock out to win, because Fury just knows how to please the judges. He's got a lot of he lets his punches go. He throws combinations, and he's very skillful. So he knows how to win rounds.
Right. I could dig that. Okay. We're getting to the end of the interview. All right. I want to ask you about Mike Tyson fighting Roy Jones. What do you think about that? Like, I remember watching Mike Tyson's last fight. I think this was his final fight. And when he lost, he even said in the ring, he was like, if I can't beat this caliber opponent, I don't need to fight no more. And then now that was 15 years ago, and he's stepping back in the ring. But he is stepping in against Roy Jones, but Roy Jones just fought like 2 years ago, and he won. And out of their last 4 fights, Mike Tyson lost 3 of his last fights, and Roy Jones won his last 4 fights. Roy Jones is a couple years younger, but when I watched Roy Jones' last fight, he wasn't using his legs. Like, he was up on the ropes, kind of like Muhammad Ali in the back stages of his career. So because of that, I don't give him no chance against Mike Tyson. So what's your opinion on Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson?
Yeah, I haven't been able to see what Roy's performances look like, but you know, how many rounds is it?
It's
5
8.
round fight?
It's 8.
You know, hey, what are they gonna do? They're gonna make it, so there can't be a draw or something. What kind of are they doing it for charity?
It's an exhibition, and it is supposed to be for charity, but it's for Mike Tyson. He has a new league. It's called Mike Tyson's League of Legends, and so it's like old school athletes coming back and doing it. And he said it doesn't even have to be boxing. It could be like baseball, basketball, one-on-one basketball, like things like that. So he's building this league. This first one's for charity. And so what do you think about it?
I love the setup behind it. There's a huge spectrum of people who know what the name Mike Tyson means. There's a spectrum of people that aren't from that generation, but know what the name Roy Jones means. I mean, the boy was in the Matrix, for Christ's sake. You know what I'm saying? Come on. That's some throwback stuff. That's some throwback.
Right.
It's 2 great champions in history. It's 2 legends going toe to toe. It's interesting, man, because they're not in their prime. So that takes a portion of the excitement out of it. But then the fact that they're not in their prime and they're still willing to do it adds to a certain portion of the excitement. So it's a very funny scenario. A lot of people, once you're retired, you're retired. But nowadays they always talk about what is retirement age now. What is retirement? Look, man, they doing it for themselves. They're doing it for all their fans. They got multi-millions of fans combined. And, I really just don't even want to I don't really have 2 cents to give it, man. They have their reasons of doing it. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. And that's what life's about, man, and may the best man win. I think there's several people who believe that within 2 rounds, because we know Tyson's that he got that gusto early on. He's had it in his career. He got that gusto early on. So he want to sit on the ropes in the first 2 rounds. He better be blocking pretty nice, because Tyson, he's what inspired me to be Keith one time.
Okay, I could dig that. All right, I only got 2 more questions for you. All right, this one's about Floyd Mayweather. So I'm out here in Las Vegas, right? And so Floyd Mayweather, he's retired. Some consider him one of the best, and some of them don't even put him in the elite boxers. I actually think he's probably the greatest boxer of all time, but not the greatest fighter of all time. I would give Muhammad Ali greatest fighter, greatest athlete, our greatest icon of boxing ever, ambassador of boxing, all that. But so I was at an event out here, a ball-up championship basketball game, and they introduced Floyd Mayweather. And it was, the announcer was expecting him to get like all kind of cheers or whatever. And people, they just like didn't care. They halfway started to boo him or whatever. And then they introduced somebody like Ray J, and Ray J got way more cheers and applause.
He got all the love.
Yeah, way more than Floyd. So I'm asking you, what do you think Floyd Mayweather's legacy is, and why doesn't he receive some of the accolades that he probably should have received?
Well, I think it's a real simple answer, and it all comes down to the money. Okay.
Okay.
There was right before the Shane Mosley fight, I believe he still was Pretty Boy Floyd.
Okay.
Right after, in the Mosley fight, he created the Money Team. Floyd, Money, Mayweather. And from that fight on, you know what he fought for. He fought for the money. When you're fighting for the money and you put it out there so blatantly, it disconnects you from the fans. Right? I'm fighting for the moolah. I'm fighting for the wristwatch. I'm fighting for the diamond chain because I'm all about the money, baby. We on the money team, right? He already was a little disconnected with the fans to begin with, but he didn't want to be all cheers. He loved the love-hate relationship that he had with his fans, you know, because it's the love-hate relationship that also what added fuel to the fire in the money, you know. I mean, we're talking about the man who's fighting Latino fighters on Latino holidays. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
This dude, nothing was a mistake, you know. But you take away all that decision making and everything from the money aspect, and you just look at skill base, still one of the best to ever do it in history, period. You know what I'm saying? Some way, somehow, call him number one, call him your fifth favorite of all times. None of that really matters, man. When you're arguably, this is what I like to say. Once when you're arguably the best to ever do it, then you did it. You know what I'm saying? He's arguably the best ever, man, on an athletic standpoint when it comes to him, somebody who deserved a gold medal in the Olympic Games, and then the way he dominated the professional rankings, and somebody of his size and caliber to dominate the welterweight division and all that entitles with the welterweight division through its history. He really is one of the best that ever did it. And I watched all his fights at the end of his career. He still was one of the fastest welterweights, maybe still the fastest welterweight in the welterweight division. You know, and that was when he was slowing down. Like you could see it's not as fast as it used to be, because what it used to be at 135, like when he fought Zab and fights before that, you know, that wasn't speed, that was lightning, you know. It was coming up like it was almost as quick as you can say it happened, you know. He's always been sharp, man. I've always just you know, I always tell people when it comes to Floyd Mayweather's defense, let anybody in the world that has a coach, okay? Let's say that there's a coach with a football team or a coach with a basketball team. If there was a defensive coach that could make people not score the way that Floyd made people not score, that coach would go down as the greatest defensive coach of all time. Hands down.
Real talk.
Hands down. You know, I mean, his defense was on such a high level caliber that if you could take that defense into any other sport, you would have to claim that team has the best defense in the league, you know. And then his accuracy and his timing, impact, you know, is just great, man. Everything about the man, skill wise, is just 100, you know. And then the one thing that real fighters like me that I admire the most is how he never let the money make him feel comfortable. You know, as it can make him feel comfortable in life, it can make him look pretty in the mirror. You know what I mean? But he didn't run less. He didn't do less. You know what I mean?
Right.
If anything, he probably did more to get more. You know, and to have a never-ending hunger like that is very special too. So I give him credit for that.
Right, I agree with you. And I seen a comment from, I think it was Zab Judah or whatever, and he kind of commented on what you said. He said that Mayweather trained like he was broke still, and that might be.
He was broke, baby.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
All right, I'm gonna add one question in here, and then I got one more question, and we done. I appreciate you hanging in there for me for all this time. All right, just since you made me think of this when you was talking about Mayweather right there, I read an article where they compared Pacquiao's career and Mayweather's career, and in this article, they were saying that Pacquiao had a greater career because you know how he had more divisional championships or something like that. When you reflect on their careers, being who you are, which career do you think outshines one or the other? And don't be a politician right now. I want you to choose one if you can.
Oh, it don't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to say. I almost want to say it's almost a preference, right? Because Floyd ended undefeated, you know. Pacquiao, he lived the Muhammad Ali life, you know, where you win some, you lose some, and you win again, and then you just show how it's just a never-ending story that, you know, like Ali told everybody, I'm gonna show you how great I am. I'm gonna show you how great I am. They knocked me down, they knocked me out, but I'm still gonna show you how great I am. That's what Pacquiao did, and he did this. He lived this life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Floyd, he did a little bit more of a pretty boy aspect, a little bit more in controlled settings. Didn't always fight the toughest fight of the career at that time. But like I say, man, when it comes to athleticism, you know, and when it comes to all those weight classes, it's probably about 100%. I'm probably about 100% right when I say nobody will ever do what Pacquiao did ever again. I'm probably about 100% right.
Okay.
It's very not likely. And a lot of people don't have the opportunity. A lot of people really don't have the speed and power to go through that many weight classes.
Right.
You know? And then a lot of times, when they do, they're going to find their limit and they're going to get hurt. And then after they get hurt, they're normally going to put themselves back in a more comfortable situation. Pacquiao never did that. Like I said, been knocked down, been knocked out. I'm still going to show you how great I am. Pacquiao, that's what he did, man. And he made history. He made a type of history that will most likely never be repeated, man. So when it comes to the both of them, it just is, do you admire all the world titles, or do you admire the simple aspect of just being one of the best to ever dance around the ring?
Right.
You know?
Okay, I dig that. All right, so this is my last question. Who are your top 5 fighters of all time, excluding yourself?
Muhammad Ali.
Okay, why Muhammad Ali? Number one. I mean, he's my number one
because
too.
He went through, just because the way he did it. It's not just what he did, it's the way he did it. You know, I mean, it's phenomenal, man. And his story, you know, being locked up, coming back, this and that, just everything that he went through, man. You know, just the way he entertained the world. You know, I mean, you know, and at his time, it wasn't the way he entertained the world; it's the way he entertained the white race. You know what I mean? To be accepted, to be that, you know, mildly, to have any brother mildly accepted, you know, and the way he did those interviews in that time, and the way he was educating himself with the Muslim faith, and just showing just different things, different aspects of the game. You know, when people when people say, you know, you're different, Keith, you know, like, that's a compliment to me. You know, I feel like if you really ever want to achieve something great within yourself, you can't do it without being different. You gotta find that dimension within yourself, because we're all infinite beings. So you just gotta, don't be stagnant. Don't do what he does or they do. You can admire it, but don't replicate it in its totality. You can mimic something, but mimicking and replicating are different, you know? Right. So that's why I give, you know, he was the Michael Jordan, you know. We don't got Floyd shirts like this, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't got Floyd shirts like this, you know. I mean, he was like the Michael Jordan, man. Without him, there is no the money team. He was making all the money, you know what I mean? It is what it is, man. And boxing in his generation was one of the greatest sports that America had to offer. It was baseball, because that's true, you know, baseball and boxing. That's all there was.
And then especially the heavyweight vision on top of that. Like, man, yeah.
You know, I got one of my personal favorites of all time is Aaron the Hawk Pryor.
Okay.
You know? And I love the irony in the documentary. I think it was a Showtime doc that they did on Aaron Pryor. And he used to run around and he'd be like, "What time is it? Hawk time. What time is it? Hawk time." Aaron the Hawk Pryor. And, you know, out of, you know, no relation to it, but my nickname ended up being Keith One Time. So I got that little time aspect in there, you know.
Right. So
it was just funny for me.
He's in your top 5?
Oh, he's one of my favorite of all time. So he's always in my top 5.
Oh,
you know
okay.
What I mean?
Okay.
This is a very personal preference for me. I just love the man that was different. He had such a great amateur career. You can watch him beat Tommy Hearns in the Olympic trials or some kind of high level amateur competition on YouTube today. It's still out there, you know. Aaron the Hawk Pryor versus Tommy Hitman Hearns as amateur before they both were ever pro, you know. And then the word on the street is that Sugar Ray Leonard never wanted to fight Aaron Pryor. You know, some say it had to do with the cocaine, and some people say he just never wanted it. You know, it just is what it is, man. Aaron Pryor, from that documentary, and just being a fighter that was feared by other great fighters. Like, yo, I kind of don't want to, you know, when a world class fighter knows that dude over there, he a problem. Like, yo, he a headache. You know what I mean? Like my boy Winky Wright, and how Oscar De La Hoya never wanted to see my boy Winky because he saw what he did to Tito, and he said, "Boy, I will never get in the ring with Winky Wright." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some people know that boy over there is a problem. So I like those kind of fighters, man. You know, and for me, Aaron Pryor also had a style that I really enjoyed. You know, he's a real fighter. Quick hands, just non-stop heart, 120% heart. You know, I like Tyson because of how just the power, the explosiveness and the power and all the knockouts and the highlights and this is what I want to see against Roy. I want to see the old school punch. I want to see the right hook to the body with the right uppercut. Left hook to the body, left uppercut. That's that Tyson combo, man. Not too many people know much about that right uppercut or right hook, right uppercut, man. Yeah. But that was a bread and butter move for Tyson, man. And you know, his little technique. A lot of people learn how to do this, but not a lot of people bring that technique into the ring, into real everyday fights. But Tyson did, you know, and it's just the level of excitement, you know. And then, you know, I still do consider Floyd one of the best ever, in my top 5, just because I watched so much. He did so many things the right way. So many things were done very right. And defensively, like I keep saying, number one. Defensively, number one. You know, the offense wasn't the most entertaining, but the defense was so on point. So I put him out there, man.
I think that's 4, so one more.
I'm trying to, you know, I did Evander, man. Evander was bad.
Oh, he one of my favorites too, man.
Evander was bad. I met him in person, man, and his fist was like a real brick, like a whole mortar brick. Like, what? What's this? You call it a fist, I call it a brick. Yeah. Like, man, no wonder why you beat Tyson, boy. Like, man. You know?
I
like his story. I like his story, knowing that he was a cruiserweight that became heavyweight
Right,
champion.
right, yeah. Because he was like, at that time, when he became heavyweight, he was like one of the only heavyweights that was like a real boxer. Like you used his feet, and he'd come in, he'd come out. And, you know, a lot of the heavyweights at the time were stationary. They weren't moving around too much. So, and he was light. Like, I think he was like 215 when he was a heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I like Tyson. Tyson was small. He was so short that I just like the short dude beating up tall dudes. You feel me? But yeah, yep. Evander was like a boxer at heavyweight when the rest of them was sluggers.
Yep, Evander was nice with it, man. And the way he trained, and you know, he stayed muscle bound, and he just was bad, man. He was a bad heavyweight.
Right, right. Well, I appreciate your time. It was a great